She died 6 months ago, but her cat still waits at the bus stop. The first person to notice was Marcus, a middle-aged accountant who caught the 7:45 bus to downtown every weekday. It was a Tuesday in late September when he spotted the cat, a small tabby with amber eyes and a white patch on its chest shaped like a lopsided heart. The cat sat perfectly still on the old wooden bench at Maple Street Station, its tail curled around its paws, staring intently down Riverside Avenue as though expecting someone. Marcus didn't think much of it. Stray cats were common enough in their quiet town of Riverside. He figured it was just another neighborhood wanderer looking for scraps or a warm lap. But the next morning, the cat was there again. Same bench, same position, same unwavering gaze fixed on the empty road. And the morning after that. By the end of the week, Marcus found himself looking for the cat as he approached the bus stop each day. There was something unsettling about its dedication, the way it never meowed or approached anyone, never begged for food or attention. It simply waited, as if fulfilling an appointment that only it remembered. "You see that cat every morning too?" asked Denise, a young nurse who worked the day shift at Riverside General. She'd started taking the same bus a month ago and had noticed Marcus glancing at the tabby. "Yeah," Marcus replied, watching as the 8 o'clock bus pulled up. The cat's ears twitched at the sound of the engine, its whole body tensing with what looked like hope. But as the doors opened and passengers boarded, something shifted in the cat's posture, a barely perceptible slump, a dimming in those amber eyes. When the bus pulled away, the cat stood, stretched, and padded off into the morning shadows, disappearing around the corner of the old bakery. "It leaves right after the 8 o'clock bus," Denise observed, her brow furrowed. "Every single time." The pattern continued through October, as autumn painted the town in shades of rust and gold. Rain came, cold and persistent, and still the cat appeared each morning at precisely 7:30. Its fur would be slicked against its small body, shivering, but it never sought shelter. It waited. When the first frost arrived in early November, an elderly woman named Margaret Hayes began bringing food. Margaret lived 3 blocks from the bus stop and had been watching the cat from her kitchen window for weeks, her heart breaking a little more each morning. "Here you go, sweetheart," she cooed, setting down a small bowl of tuna. The cat approached cautiously, ate quickly, then returned to its post on the bench. Margaret tried to pet it once, but the cat dodged her hand, not out of fear, but with a gentle insistence that seemed to say, "I can't, I have to watch." Margaret started asking around. She stopped by the corner store where Mr. Chen had run his family business for 40 years. She visited the bakery, the coffee shop, the pharmacy. Slowly, piece by piece, a story began to emerge. "That's Muffin," said old Mr. Chen, his voice soft with recognition. "Used to come in here with that young lady. What was her name? Emma Walsh. Every morning, she'd buy a coffee and a blueberry muffin, break off a piece for the cat. Sweet girl, always smiling." "What happened to her?" Margaret asked, though something in her chest already knew the answer would hurt. Mr. Chen's eyes grew distant. "Car accident, back in June. She was on her way to work. Took the 8 o'clock bus from Maple Street every morning. Never missed it." He paused, his weathered hands arranging items on the counter that didn't need arranging. "Hit and run, 2 blocks from here. She was walking to the bus stop. The driver never stopped." Margaret felt tears prick her eyes. "And the cat? Lived with her in that little apartment above the bookstore. After she—" he cleared his throat. "After she passed, the landlord couldn't find any family to take the cat. Last I heard, someone left it at a shelter, but it must have found its way back. Back to the bus stop. Back to the place where Emma used to stand every morning. Where she'd give Muffin that piece of blueberry muffin. where she'd scratch behind his ears and promise to be home by 6. Margaret shared the story with Marcus and Denise, and soon it spread through the small community of morning commuters like ripples in still water. People began to see Muffin differently, not as a stray, but as a testament to something profound and unbreakable. By December, Muffin had become a fixture of Maple Street, a living memorial. Commuters took turns bringing food, soft blankets, even toys that Muffin politely ignored. A local carpenter named Jake built a small wooden shelter beside the bench, painted it a cheerful yellow, and stocked it with a cushion and a weatherproof blanket. But Muffin rarely used the shelter during waiting hours. Rain, snow, or bitter wind, the cat sat on Emma's bench, keeping its vigil. The local newspaper ran a story. Faithful feline keeps daily vigil at bus stop. Then the regional news picked it up. Soon, people from neighboring towns would drive by to catch a glimpse of the cat who wouldn't forget. Some found it heartbreaking. Others found it beautiful. Everyone agreed it meant something. Thomas Reeves, who'd driven the Route 12 bus for 15 years, remembered Emma well. She'd been one of those passengers who made the job worthwhile. Always kind, always grateful, always saying, "Have a good day, Thomas," when she stepped off at the hospital where she worked as a pediatric nurse. He'd taken a week off after hearing about the accident. Emma had been only 27 years old, with her whole life ahead of her. It seemed impossibly cruel. Now, every morning at 7:55, Thomas would slow the bus as he approached Maple Street. Through the windshield, he'd see Muffin on the bench, and his heart would clench. He'd watch as the cat's body tensed with hope, then sagged with disappointment when the doors opened and Emma wasn't among the boarding passengers. One frigid morning in mid-January, Thomas made a decision. He parked the bus, told his passengers he'd be just a moment, and approached the bench. Muffin watched him with those knowing amber eyes. "Hey there, buddy," Thomas said softly, kneeling despite his bad knees. "I knew her too, Emma. She was special." Muffin's tail twitched. "I can't bring her back," Thomas continued, his voice thick with emotion. "Lord knows I wish I could. But I can't let you freeze out here. I can't let you keep waiting for something that won't happen." He reached out slowly. This time, Muffin didn't pull away. The cat leaned into Thomas's weathered palm, and a small, rusty purr emerged, the first sound anyone had heard Muffin make in months. "What do you say you come home with me?" Thomas whispered. "My wife's been wanting a cat. We've got a warm house, soft beds, all the tuna you can eat. And I promise, we'll keep this bench just as it is. We'll make sure people remember." Something shifted in Muffin's eyes. Not forgetting, never forgetting, but perhaps a small acceptance. A recognition that love doesn't always mean waiting. Sometimes it means allowing yourself to be cared for, to let new people in, even while holding tight to precious memories. Thomas gathered Muffin gently in his arms, feeling the small body trembling against his chest. As he carried the cat to his car, several commuters wiped away tears. True to his word, Thomas worked with the town council to preserve the bench. They added a small brass plaque that Margaret had commissioned, using her own savings. It read simply, "For the one who waited." In memory of Emma Walsh, 1997 to 2024, and Muffin, who never forgot. The shelter Jake built remained, now filled with flowers that neighbors refreshed weekly. The bench became a quiet place of reflection, where people would sit and think about those they'd lost, about the nature of loyalty and love and grief. Muffin, renamed Muffin Reeves by Thomas's wife Carol, adjusted to his new home slowly but surely. He had a warm bed by the fireplace, regular meals, and gentle hands that stroked his fur. He even began to play occasionally, batting at toy mice and chasing sunbeams across the hardwood floor. But Thomas noticed that sometimes, in the early morning, Muffin would sit by the window that faced east toward Maple Street and watch, just for a few minutes. Then he'd return to his breakfast bowl, to his new life, carrying Emma's memory not as a burden, but as a part of who he was. Because that's what love does. It changes us. It stays with us. And sometimes, if we're very lucky, it gives us the strength to wait, and, eventually, the courage to live again. At Maple Street bus stop, the morning commuters still pause sometimes at Emma's bench. They think about the girl who loved blueberry muffins and her cat. They think about the cat who loved her back, in the only way he knew how. And they remember that the truest measure of love isn't how loudly we proclaim it, but how faithfully we honor it when no one else is watching. Muffin's story reminds us that animals don't just share our homes, they share our lives, our routines, our hearts. They remember us in ways that go deeper than words. Right now, in shelters across the world, there are countless cats and dogs waiting on their own benches, not for someone who's gone, but for someone who's yet to come, for someone like you. If this story touched your heart, consider adopting a shelter pet who's waiting for their second chance at love, fostering an animal in need, even temporarily, donating to your local animal shelter or rescue organization, volunteering your time to care for animals who are still waiting, sharing this story to spread awareness about the incredible bond between humans and animals. Every cat, every dog, every animal deserves what Muffin finally found: a warm home, gentle hands, and someone who sees their worth. If you were moved by Muffin's loyalty, please like this video to help it reach others who need to hear this story. Subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming stories that celebrate the bond between humans and animals. Comment below with your own stories of faithful pets. We read every single one. Share this with someone who loves animals as much as you do. Remember, behind every shelter door is a heart waiting to love you, the way Muffin loved Emma, completely, faithfully, forever. Thank you for watching, and thank you for caring.